So here it is. You know, a lot of the times we don't know who we are going to be helping with our light. We just need to put it out there because you just never know who can you be inspiring in this world without even knowing.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Moments of Aha. We want to help you understand that no one is coming to save you. But there is good news because everything that you're looking for is already inside of you. Today's everyday hero is someone who spends his day looking around, seeing magic through the lenses of gratitude. Coming from Ecuador in 1999, not even able to speak English at first, he went from working at a bar, thinking that he would love to see the world more, to becoming a flight attendant just months later. Getting to satisfy his desire to travel around the world, he stepped into his power and pursued a life to uplift others, becoming a spiritual coach. Manifesting his reality is one of his gifts. Moving to New York from California in the height of this pandemic, he started a new life, building a community of conscious people everywhere he goes. He is now a lifestyle manifestation coach through a number of his own experiences. He is balancing life with joy. Eduardo Crespo. What's up, man?
Wow! Wow! What an introduction! Thank you so much. How are you?
Absolutely. I'm wonderful, Eduardo. I'm just so happy to have you here. You are full of joy always. And so you always lift up my spirits. You've been actually something for everyone to know. You've been my coach for years and just have influenced me and inspired me to live a better life in so many ways that, yeah, I mean, I'm sure you know by how many times I've expressed it, but also in ways that you don't even understand in such a deep core level. So you're my great friend. So happy to have you on this show. And yeah.
So happy and grateful to be here.
Yes, definitely.
So loving this moment. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. My first question, I love this question. So Moments of Aha also is known for being known as moments of awakening. And moments of awakening can happen in a singular moment in time, or it could be a process of multiple moments. So I'm curious about your journey of awakening and what that was like for you.
Oh, great question. Are you ready? Well, if I'm talking too much, please feel free to interrupt. So, Moment on Aha, I think it started years ago. The first one was years ago when I was still living in New York and working at a bar. And, my life was so based on whatever I was thinking my life should be at that point, and I have no control of any thoughts or anything that I was really doing, but I was just living life, following life, whatever life threw at me, I was doing it. And I was a little bit of I used to live a little bit with that victim mentality, like, oh my God, you have to work hard in order to make it, and otherwise, things are gonna go wrong anyway. And then I read this book that the first line on the book was said, "You're meant to have an extraordinary life," and the whole book was just an awareness at that point for me, because this has been told for years and decades, that we do have the control of our life and that we are, another line was, you're the captain of your own life. And life is like a boat, and you take control of it and you create what you want with it. And at that moment, it was like, yeah, okay, great. That will be a nice way to think. But obviously, little by little, I started experimenting and I started noticing how we actually do create our life based on our thoughts and emotions and feelings. And the more and more I've experimented with it, and the more and more I started attracting or manifesting to me I started realizing, oh my God, this works. This is actually true. And I'm not gonna say it was overnight. Obviously, it took a while because there's a lot of experimentation. We start manifesting all the things that we want and all the things that we don't want that we're gonna end up in like who knows where. You know, um, but just being able to experiment little by little and start experimenting shifts and different reactions and different results on the things that I was getting was a big aha. It's like when you start going to the gym and you don't obviously get in a great shape or lose 10 pounds overnight. But after a month or a month and a half, when you go and try your pants and those pants fit you very nicely and the shirt is kind of loose, and then that's when you start like, oh my God, I'm actually getting in a better shape. It's exactly the same thing. This is like it takes a little bit of work, but when you start noticing how we are able to manifest and create the life that we want, then it's when you take control. And that's the big aha for me. That was my big aha.
I love that, Eduardo. Just to highlight the first step in what you did, which one is, I'm curious what book that was, if you remember what it was. But two, you're the captain of your ship. And what I hear in that is that you, at that time, but maybe the first time ever, took accountability for your life and that you were responsible for it and no one else. And then you started when you take responsibility, you started taking care of your thoughts and the way that you were thinking at that time. So I'm curious how the accountability or ownership of your life played a role in manifesting and creating that new version of yourself.
Well, I think when you start noticing the things that you change, and I'm not sure if this is related to exactly to your question, but when you start noticing that you are really responsible for the things that you are attracting to you, including the ones that you are not enjoying necessarily to have, but you're still having it, then you're able to really step out and observe it. Um, as an accountability. Well, I mean, there's a few factors, right? Because on the other hand, there's always going to be external things that happen around us that we don't have any control of it. But we do have the control of knowing how we want to react to it.
Mm. Yes.
And the perfect example of this is the situation that we're all living right now, which is going through a pandemic and having to do quarantine and all this and shifting our life completely, which it was obviously not anticipated or created for any of us. It was just something that happens in life. Things in life do happen, right? But what makes a difference is how we react to them and how do we want to keep moving forward, even with those things.
Absolutely, yeah. So I hear we can't necessarily control our external environment, but we can
Right.
always control how we respond and show up in that space.
Right, and that makes a huge difference, though, because you can either, and it's completely normal to feel devastated, to feel like you want to give up, like I didn't create this, why is this happening to me? Or you can always say, oh well, this is uncomfortable, and this is making me feel sad, and you can stay with that sadness for as long as you want, and at some point, just start seeing, okay, what can I do from here?
Mm.
And that's what makes a difference.
Definitely, it definitely does. And I would love for you to kind of walk us through your last 6 months because you were just living in California not too long ago, and you and Nathan decided to have this crazy idea to move to New York. And then that was before all of this pandemic hit, and you're living in a hotel. You don't have a routine that you normally have. You already got rid of your place, and now you're in this transition in between place to moving to one of the spaces in our country that have been affected by COVID dramatically. And you guys go into that space rather than some people are probably trying to get away. So kind of walk us through that story and what was going on in that time. What kind of challenges were you dealing with? and Nathan was dealing with at that time? And how did you guys overcome it to a place where I talked to you last week and you have a community, you're extremely happy. I just, what was that process like?
Wow. Oh my. Okay, so long story coming. So my partner and I decided to move to New York in February out of nowhere. Honestly, I mean, not out of nowhere. We knew that we always connected to this city. And when I was working as a flight attendant, I was flying here constantly because since I used to live here, I have friends and I have my brother that live here. So I was coming here almost weekly. So I know that I always have a love. I always love being in the city. But then in February, we're here for a few days, and out of the nowhere, we decided, how about if we move out of LA and move to New York? And my partner at that point, he was reconnecting with his music, and he's done acting and singing before. And he said, "Yeah, I've been wanting to start auditioning again, and hopefully, no, and connect with my music, and at some point start auditioning again for musicals or and be more connected with the arts." And I said, what an amazing opportunity to move to New York. And I said, since I can really live anywhere with my job as a flight attendant, which is not one great benefit that I had. I can move to New York and keep my job. You can move to New York and keep your job and just explore something new. With that said, we love living in LA. We had a beautiful place. We had a great community. And then we planned the whole thing. And then we came to New York in March, like 10 days before the whole quarantine even happened. By that point, we're like, oh, this is not happening in here. We're like, not even think or talking about it. Come here, rented a place, went back to LA to start moving all these arrangements of moving, and boom, quarantine. Oh, no, wait. And then we started, packing and starting the move and everything. And then we had planned to go to, send our furniture to New York, and it would take a couple of weeks. So we'd stay at a hotel for like a few days and then move to New York. And then like a couple of days before everything happened, the quarantine started. And we're like, oh my God, what's going to happen now? So I said, let's go move to the plan because we already rented a place and we have to move there. Anyhow, we're supposed to stay at a hotel for a few days. We ended up living in a hotel for 6 weeks, a hotel in front of the airport. And not only was in front of the airport, I actually kind of stopped working because I'm a flight attendant, or I was a flight attendant. So what can I do at that moment? I wasn't able to work anymore. And so my life shifted completely. I mean, it was a huge change. And there's obviously so much uncertainty. There's so much going on. And then, I don't know, maybe 70% or 80% of my family members caught the virus in different countries, but they all got sick somehow, and then I lost 2 family members due to COVID. So it was it was just something that I would never expected. And we're living in a hotel, of all places, a basically almost empty hotel, because obviously at that point, nobody's traveling. You got a few crews in there, but that was it. But then at some point, it was never easy, obviously, and I talked to you a few times because it was challenging. It was hard. I was living in a hotel. We didn't have any routine. We couldn't exercise. We couldn't go anywhere. At that point, we had left our building and we were living at the hotel. We were not seeing anybody for weeks and weeks. And then my family was all sick back in Ecuador and even here in New York. But we knew at that moment we couldn't do anything but keep moving, because we already had paid for our lease and our rent, and our furniture was already on its way here, so we have to move forward, and we just did it. And at some point, obviously due to the love that we have for the city, we decided, we're just gonna move forward and we're gonna rebuild the city. We're gonna be part of that community that is going, and we knew exactly what was New York was. You know, everything was happening in New York because people were calling us all the time. It's like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Why on earth do you want to be moving there? Can you stop the move? And it's like, we're in motion right now, even when we're not, but we are, you know, and we're just gonna go to New York and make it work. So we did wait. We waited 6 weeks until things got a little better here. So we ended up moving here in May. And at first was, you know, when you come to New York, which is such a vibrant, energetic city 24/7, and you come here and you don't see anyone in here. You know, it kind of reminded me because I was also living here when 9/11 happened, you know, and that, in a way, that feeling of emptiness and just this huge feeling of being empty and kind of depressed. But anyhow, that has shifted. Uh, Thankfully, things shifted completely here, right? So now the numbers are super low. I think they've been, I don't even know how many weeks for under 1% or 0.5%, which is really low. And I know that the mayor is doing a great job at keeping the city as safe as possible. So yeah, and all of a sudden it's just been great. Now, somebody said to me, you know, it's going to be really tough for you because you're such a community builder person, and you're not going to be able to you're not going to be able to meet anybody for who knows how long, right? For months or a year or something until things get back to normal. Really? I mean, yeah, it's like fine. That's not going to happen. Well, guess what? Energy just works, you know, and energy just works. And you know, all of a sudden I started meeting people in the building, and we met our neighbors, which is a great couple. And my neighbor is also a coach, and it's been great to at first just having Zoom calls with them and get to know them. And then we met another neighbor, and all of a sudden we're just like starting. And then another friend moved from LA to New York, so we went on a walk with her, along this whatever social distance walk, you know, with her. And all of a sudden we just start meeting more and more people. So we're obviously, I'm not going crazy. I do take, you know, some measurements, but yeah, it was funny last week. We're like, I sat in the couch with my partner, so we went from not seeing anybody to having all these people surround us, you know, around us, and everybody wants to get together. And one thing about New York is like, well, a lot of the people, and one thing that I'm noticing here is that when we moved here, everybody was really scared, and it's understandable they were scared because they went through a horrible experience. You know, everything they experienced here during March and April and May was horrible. It was obviously something they'd never seen. It was like going to a war. So people were very nervous at first, but little by little, people are start coming out, and we've been able to create a great community. And we've only been here for a few months, right? So just give me a year, and let's see where we are right at that point. But then it's been great. It's been such a blessing to be here, you know. And one of the things that I still have and remind myself every day is that I want to help rebuild the energy of this city, because it's such a beautiful city, and it's always been, in a way, my home. So why would I want to leave it right now when I have so many things to be grateful for? And I grew as a person so much while I was living here at first. So I'm probably gonna stay here for a while and rebuild it again, you know.
That's amazing, Eduardo. And I just could imagine, and I remember talking to you, just the challenges, the internal push and pull that you guys were experiencing in the beginning of this year when you were, you know, in that hotel for 6 weeks. You know, you and Nathan were in such alignment when you made the decision together, separately, but together, you made this decision to move to New York. You're in such alignment, and then all of a sudden fell out of alignment because of everything, all the chaos that was going on in the world, right? And just to get back to the point that you said in the very beginning, we can't control our external environment, but we can always learn to respond in the way that we want to. And in that, you know, someone's telling you you can't build a community right now. I've done multiple group meditations with you that you started in this pandemic. And then you have a 30-day gratitude Facebook page that you started that just was exploding. And you're building a relationship with your apartment complex. Like, you know, one of the superpowers that I chose for you is connection and building community, because that is such, we can all have that capability, right? But some of us have it as a superpower to really create safe spaces that are non-judging for other people. And when you provide a space like that, people are attracted to you, Eduardo. So have you always been able to build community, or is this something that you've just been able to learn and grasp in the last handful of years in your journey?
Well, so I would say, great question. Since I'm come from a very, let's say, joyful family, we always been very social, and I grew up with my parents hosting events and at home, and hosting social events and things like that, constantly. So I've always been a very social person. Not always, I would say, for the most part. Um, I'm like half introvert, half extrovert, right? But when I'm extrovert, I'm like all out there, and I'm very Latin, and I like to have fun, and I like to for people to enjoy, and I always been known for throwing great fun parties. And in here was almost like, so the energy, but that energy is part of me in a way. It's not. That's the reason why I work at a bar for so long, because I was so good at entertaining people, and people will come and you know want to hang out with me, because I've always been a very social person. But it was about turning that superpower into connecting with others, and just see where they're needed and where they wanted. So when we were at the hotel and we were having our challenges and everything that was happening, one of the things that, I have to say, and I know it's not the same for everyone, but this time of COVID has been really a blessing for us, because we were able to living at a hotel and having a ton of extra time, especially for me since I wasn't traveling anymore, being able to meditate a lot more often, being able to visualize a lot more, um, and really being able to sit and think, what can I do right now to help others connect with their own joy, or not only connect with their own joy, but just express themselves. And I was living at, like I said earlier, I lost two family members. So I went through the whole grieving part, and I talked to you, and I talked to my partner, who's also a coach. So I had that support. I have with other friends, they're coaches, and I had that support, but not everybody had that support. And I already done a lot of spiritual and personal work in the last few years, that I already know how to sort of reconnect with myself and lift my energy or shift my energy at some point. But not everybody knows those tools, right? Because otherwise we will be someplace else. So at some point, I was having a meditation, and I was about to disconnect from social media, because there's so much. I observed there was so much judgment from everyone in social media, because everybody's struggling one way or another. And I was doing a meditation, and I had this aha, would say, create a gratitude group. And the reason I say, I love connecting with gratitude is because one of the things, that was my own other aha moment that I'm going to share with you. One of the things I've experienced in the past is that when you start working with gratitude or appreciation, we can use that word as well, on a daily basis, and very often we are able to shift our energy, and we are able to revamp our energy. And when that happens, then things start changing, because we are all energy after all. And we all attract things, we all attract lights, and when we start shifting our energy and connecting with the things that we are grateful or we appreciate, then we start our attention goes to, okay, what else can I'm be grateful for? It's instant. Like, your mind is such a toy and a tool that as soon as you start giving it something to think about, it just connects with more and more and more things that are related or similar, but it works both ways, right? Same thing when you're start complaining and dwelling about something, the mind is just gonna find more reasons to keep going on and on and on. So for me, gratitude was a big shiftment, a big aha personally, and that was years ago. And even now, from time, I mean, I do practice gratitude every day, but basically, this group was about writing 10 reasons every morning of what I'm grateful for, and basically practice gratitude, you know, through the day. And I still use it, especially when I create a new project, or if I, right before the end of the year, I always practice gratitude because I want to start a new year with higher energy. Before I go into work into a new project, I practice gratitude because I want to start a new project with higher energy. Because, like I said before, when you experiment and you start seeing results, then oh, these things work. Oh, why wouldn't I want to do it again? I want to have great results. So anyhow, I decided to create this group, and interesting enough, I gave it like 2 days before the group started. I said, "Oh, who's gonna join this group in 2 days?" But I'm okay. I don't mind if I have 7 or 10 people joining this group, and all of a sudden we're like 110, and then we go for 130. Then it's like, "Oh my God, this is!" And I started joining, people from all over the world. Requesting to join this group, and I was just like amazed by it. I was so fired up and say, okay, let's go, and then I got people emailing me saying, I haven't been able to participate with the group, but I go there daily to read other people's posts, and this is really helping me during this time. So changes, and I was said, oh, okay, so here it is. A lot of the times we don't know who we are going to be helping with our light. So we just need to put it out there, because you just never know who can you be inspiring in this world without even knowing.
Yeah, it is so true. And sometimes as an influencer, we can get caught up into who's liking our posts or who's commenting, how much engagement's going on, but how many people do influencers get to speak to that they saw that post and it's exactly what they needed, but they didn't like and they didn't comment, but it sunk into them and planted a seed. And that's what it's all about, right? It's not about how much engagement you get, actually. It's about the impact that you're truly making. And you truly make an impact, Eduardo. And something that I do want to highlight that you were saying about gratitude, because that is one of the powers that I have for you. But our thoughts build momentum. And there's something in our brain called a reticular activating system. And what this does is what you tell it to look for, it finds. So if you're the person that is complaining and victim in life, and you're looking for all the reasons why you want to complain and why life is happening to you and woe me, then you're going to have a snowball effect in that direction with momentum. Or on the other hand, you choose to find the things that you're grateful for in life on a daily basis, the things that are going right. The reticular activating system is going to continue to bring those things into your mind's eye, into your experience, and build momentum. And the power, why do I have gratitude as a power for you, is because every time I've ever talked to you, ever since I've ever known you, you've had this morning gratitude practice, and you are always radiating joy because you are grateful for all of the experiences and things that are going on in your life, whether or not they feel the best or not. Even the hardships, you have always expressed so much gratitude for those. And so I'm curious, for the people that's out there that's listening, how can you be grateful for things in your life that seem like they're not going as you planned them to go, yet still find gratitude in those moments?
Yeah, so, well, we're going through the perfect time right now to think about this. And the truth is, while everything seems dark and overwhelming, obviously it's hard to find the reasons. But if we really stop for a minute, considering that everything has a different size, as a side, everything has a different side. So no matter how bad a situation could be, there is something there's always something that is the opposite. It's either a lesson that you're learning or a talent that you're learning. And a lot of the times, the hard times just help us to get better at something. But but reminding ourselves to find those reasons is the key, right? So you and I can talk, because we went through that, on how hard it was COVID. Like, let's use my example. How got people sick, my family sick. Unfortunately, obviously, I got 2 family members that passed with this, and like back to back, and then I didn't have a place. I didn't know where to live. It was, so I can go through that and tell you about how hard it's been, and it wasn't easy. So I'm not lying either, but on the other hand, it took me a lot of it gave me a lot of reasons for me to start connecting with the things that made me stronger. So I started doing more meditation, more visualizations, even surrendering. Even in times when I was feeling overwhelmed and I didn't want to think, just being able to surrender and trust. It has strengthened my faith a lot. Because in moments like this, when we're feeling completely down and we're totally overtaken by fear, just being able to trust that we can be supported and really put our beliefs, work on our faith. And then it helped me connect with a lot of people. It helped me bring my light to people. It kind of inspired me to bring light to people, because I can be easily say, I'm having a hard time, I don't want to do anything. But I knew this was an opportunity for me to bring light to others, because I know that a lot of people are going through a hard time right now. And why would I want to have a light if I can shine it? If I can bring it to others. And what's it? See, this is the thing with our superpowers. And I'm sure you heard this at Spider-Man. But when you with superpowers, the more knowledge you have. Well, wait, what was this?
With great power comes
great responsibilities. Exactly. Yes. And I saw that movie, and that quote stayed with me since the first time I saw that movie, and I've seen it a few times, because it's so true. What's the point to have all this talent if you're just gonna keep it to yourself?
Yes.
Yes. The point of having these talents, yes, you can entertain them for a while and know that you have them, but at some point you have to share them. It's like having this, and I heard that from Fabienne Frederickson a few years ago. She said it's like having these brownies and wanting to eat the whole tray of brownies yourself. When you have this tray of brownies, you want to share your brownies, because that's what our powers are given for, is for us to share it with others, because we are a community. This is a world. This is our community.
Yes. I love that, Eduardo. And anyone that's listening right now, when we walk into rooms or situations or experiences in our life, for some reason, society a lot of the time gives us permission to complain or be the one that is to argue or not be. It's easier for people to accept people dimming their light, but people get really uncomfortable when shining their light. And so what I hear out of that is that you must just shine your light, because honestly, people right now need it more than ever, is people and leaders and spiritual leaders to step into their inner hero, to shine that light, because more people need it now than ever. So another superpower I have for you is spirituality, because you are so connected to source. And meditation and all of the practices that you've gone through. You're such a great leader and filled with purpose. Tell me a little bit about your spirituality, your relationship, and how can someone develop their own spiritual practices to know themselves better?
Ooh, deep one. Well, I think I always been a very spiritual person. I grew up um, as a Catholic, and so I was always very sort of spiritual, and I enjoy. And at some point when I was growing up, my goal was to become a priest because I knew that I was a very spiritual person and that I want to bring, share my spirituality with others. And obviously, when after I grew up and I moved to New York, and I sort of detached from religion, but I think very deep, I was always a very spiritual person. And then I started reading more books about spirituality, and I knew that I always have a very strong connection with a God or the universe or my higher self, and then I started practicing meditation, and meditation is all about connecting with your higher self, connecting uh, with your voice. And then, so I think it was a combination first of reading and studying, and combining that with my own beliefs. And meditation for me has been something that had transformed my life, because it's not just about sitting and quieting my mind, but it's about also surrendering my thoughts and my fears. And the best way for me to practice spirituality is by knowing that I always support it. And once again, just like attraction, just like manifestation, support is something that I experiment with, and every time that I receive it, and every time that I know that I'm being cared for, and that I have loving energy always with me, then it motivates me to just keep trusting. And again, doesn't mean that life is 100% flowers and joy. There's always challenges in there, but then just being able to surrender and trust that you're always being supported. It always, even if it's challenging, there's something that can be learned. And yeah, I think meditation for me is been my non-negotiable. Just like every day, I have to just sit and practice it a little bit, because it just helps in so many ways. It helps me not only connect with myself and surrender my thoughts, but also just connect with my emotions, connect with how I'm feeling. Especially for me, that I believe the way we feel, we create our life, and our feelings are so important when we want to create something. Sometimes we're too busy doing things, we're not able to even know how we're feeling, and a lot of times I'm just not feeling well. Sometimes it's just good to stop and relax and recharge. Um, yeah, and then one thing that I understood years ago, and I started practicing again and experiencing, is that we're all spiritual beings. We're a spirit experiencing this world, but at the end of the day, we're all a spirit. And when we die, we go back to that. And I have to say, personally, not like it gets easier, but personally, it makes a big difference when I lose somebody I love. Because now, knowing that we're all a spirit and that somehow we're all connected, it makes things somehow lighter. So I lost my sister, which was my best friend, and it was like my sister was my role model, and I grew up with her, and she passed when I was living in New York the first time, and it was devastating. And somehow I always kept that connection with her. And it's not like I'm a medium or I see her, but I do have a connection. And a lot of the times when I need it, I pray for her or I talk to her. And I notice when she's present, because I know how things happen, you know? Um, so we are all the spirit. We're all the spirit, and we're all spiritual beings, and we're all connected, and we're always connected, no matter where in this world or we live. We're always connected with each other. So
That's beautiful, Eduardo. Um, for the individuals that perhaps have lost somebody and they are grieving, what did you discover about yourself through that process, losing someone like your best friend and your sister being your best friend? What did you discover about yourself in that process, and how did you embrace the grieving process into building that relationship with her in that non-physical space, after the physical kind of disappeared? What was that process like for you?
well, it was it's never been easy. It's never an easy process. I mean, like I said, it helped me quite a bit. I can say it probably helped me more than help others like my mom, who's somehow still grieving, and it's been years since that happened. I don't think the process never gets easier. It gets, I guess, maybe a little. It gets lighter, you know. Um, and like I said, again, it's not somebody that can contact. I contact the spirits and I can see them, but I know they're present. I think time is a key. You know, and when my sister died and I was completely devastated, somebody said you just have to give yourself time. And it's the same thing with a lot of things that happen in life. There's things that you cannot overcome, overnight, and you have to go through the process of grieving because it's just life. You know, we never get used to, no matter how spiritual we are, we never used to say goodbye just like that. You know, and so that it's almost like a painful process that we all have to experience at some point. But knowing that that person is, that connection is there. So obviously, like I said, for me, it was talking to her helped me a lot. Sort of like having little conversations every now and then help, and praying for her. Praying for her and saying, I'm grateful that you're with me and that you support me. But at the same time, I have beautiful experiences. Last Christmas, I spent Christmas with my family, and we were in the living room, and I said, and I thought, and I said, if you're with us, why don't you give me a sign? And it was the first time that I actually said that at that moment, because we're having such a great time. It was our first time spending Christmas together in years. So we're like all laughing and everything. And I thought, I said, why don't you just give me a sign that you're here with us? And it was interesting how within a couple of minutes, there was this song that Pandora started playing. They used to be one of my favorite, my sister. No, they started the song, and then my niece said, "Oh my God, that's my aunt's favorite song." And I was just like, wow. It's like, oh my God. And with that said, it's like it happens all the time. But when things like that happens, it makes me think, oh yes, you are here with us. You are here with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've had many experiences like that as well, where there's almost a wink from them, or
Mm-hmm.
just a hello, or just a reminder that they are still with you, and they never left. And when we get into deeper into our spiritual practices and understanding what we are as the non-physical spiritual being in this vessel that's holding the spirit of who we are, the more we connect with that inner hero part of ourselves, is when we understand that there's a lot more going on than what meets the eye. And things
Yes.
that happen aren't just coincidences. There is no
Mm-hmm.
such thing. These synchronicities are alignment into that relationship, or translation of the language of however they're speaking to you in this present moment. And so I think that's really powerful for people to understand. And in spirituality, the veil or the awareness is more dominant than that you could ever imagine it, if you
Oh yeah.
look into that.
So yeah, now that you were saying that, something that came to my mind, and I'm wondering, and I wonder when we're experiencing this, because we're human after all, at the same time that we're spiritual beings. when we're in this process of missing and really be attached to the idea of not having that person, we sort of create a little bit of resistance because we're really struggling with the idea of not having that person physically. But and so I'm wondering how much that resistance actually stops us from experiencing the magical moments of feeling that person there. Because on the other hand, when we're not in that needing to have that person, but in a position of, oh my God, I'm so grateful that you're still here with us or with me, then you're able to experience in little miracles. Because we go from the perception of needing, missing, and not having, and I'm suffering because of this, to I'm so grateful that you're here and thank you for being with me, even when I can't see you. And it's all energy after all.
Yes, all energy. And so
Yeah.
I have my last question for you, Eduardo. There are individuals right now that are feeling stuck and uncertain. They're having a difficult time right now. What is one bit of advice or encouragement you have for them to take a first step into a way of feeling better, or in a space of eventually leading them to that momentum into finding that space of joy or peace in their life?
Follow the fun. And that's a tough one because we're not used to it. So, and I'm practicing that myself. So I'm walking the talk. What do you do when you're stuck? Forget about it for a while and go do something that is fun.
That is so powerful, Eduardo. Yes. Expand
Do
on that a
something.
little bit more, please, because it's
Yeah.
so good.
So the same thing, what happens in the mind when you start complaining about something, the mind just connects with that. So if you're trying to find solutions for something, thinking about a solution doesn't bring the solution. It creates resistance. If you are in pain and you're still touching that area that is painful, that's not gonna make it feel better. It's when you have an itch, something is, and you start scratching yourself. Sometimes, oh man, feel good at scratching yourself, but it doesn't mean the itch is gonna stop. Sometimes you have to let it be and do something else, and then you forget there is something itching in your body. Finding is, sticking to thinking about the problem. It's the same thing when you're trying to get something that you know that you have in the back of your mind, and you just want to get it, and you want to get it, and it doesn't come to you, and then you go to sleep, and then you wake up and say, "Oh, this is what I needed to do, or what I needed to say." It's exactly the same thing. So if you're stuck, which is no fun to be stuck, so I'm not saying it's an easier to always do, but just see what you can do to stop thinking about that you're stuck on and just do something else.
That is so
Take
valuable.
a nap, go for a run. You know what I do? And that's my secret. I'm going to see a movie. Obviously, I haven't been able to do that in a while, but I go to the movies because then my attention is focusing on something else that I'm actually enjoying. And I'm in a quiet space in a dark room watching something that is keeping me entertained. And that totally relaxes me. Because sometimes even meditation doesn't help. Because if you're really overwhelmed by an idea or a fear, especially if it's something that is really overwhelming or fearful or sad, the meditation doesn't not always work because somehow your mind is going to be connected to it. So the best thing, go do something fun. Go distract yourself. I guarantee if you do something fun, no matter what it is, you're going to get to the point when you're going to find a solution. You're going to get inspired. You're going to get that miracle or that solution that you never thought about it, and something is going to pop. A new idea, just go do something else. But it has to be fun. You know why? Because fun raises your energy.
Yes. So I know I said that was my last question, but being a lifestyle manifestation coach, it sounds a lot like manifestation. when we desire something so much to the core of our being to accomplish something in our life, or we ask in our prayers of something, sometimes we have to let go of that for us to receive it. So I'm curious your thoughts on manifestation and somewhat of the process, what it looks like in your life to actualize your dreams and goals as you have already.
So what is exactly the question? Because this is a big topic.
Yes, so the process of manifestation sounds a lot like the process of getting unstuck, is seeking the fun, letting go of the problem, letting go of the wound and stop scratching the desire of needing something to be a certain way, to let it go and allow the process to unfold into actually what you want to manifest. So I'm curious your perspective on that and how your process looks like and how you've been able to manifest the life that you have through, I'm sure, similar techniques, but I would love to hear your perspective in that way.
So somehow, I would say one of the first process of the manifestation is know what would you like to manifest? What is the life that you want to have? What is the job that you want to have? What is the relationship that you would like to have? And really be clear on the things that you want to have. And this is a key, and you know that. I mean, we talked about that before. It's so easy to go into what you don't want, and I talk to my clients, if I have a client that wants to start dating, and I say, so what would you want? So, well, I hate when men do this, and I hate when they do that, and I don't like when they do this. And so, okay, so you haven't said to me anything about what you want. So be clear on the things that you want and stick to that. Again, stick to the things you want. And it can be with one goal, it can be with anything in life. Focus on the things you want to attract. Because if we keep our energy into we're going to, and in contrast, like Esther Hicks mentions, contrast is very important because it allows us to know where we are and where we want to be. But when we choose to be where we want to be, try to focus the energy on the things that you want to achieve or experience or live. So I would say, try to find some clarity on the things that you like to experience, and it doesn't have to be very specific, but try to focus on you want to have a fun life, you want to have a comfort, you want to do whatever you want, and just focus on that and feel it and visualize. Visualization is such a powerful exercise, and we have just forgotten. I mean, we used to visualize and dream when we were kids, and all of a sudden we just got so used to doing, and we're used to do and not be, and we forget to dream. And when we forget to dream, we stop creating, or we start attracting the things that we don't want, because when you're reading the newspaper or you're reading or watching the news or just focusing on the things that are happening in the outside world and not even knowing what you want, then that's what you live at some point. That's what you attract at some point. So visualization is a key. And at some point you just have to be, visualize it and let it go and then go and do your day, right? Because you also don't want to be daydreaming the whole entire time. You want to do that maybe once or twice a day for a few minutes and let it go. And again, it's the whole point of not creating resistance. So just you dream and you know that you're creating it, and then just go with your day. And even when you go with your day, I would say just try to keep your energy up. Working your energy. And you're very familiar with energy, obviously, because we've done this work together. What is inspiring you, what makes you feel grateful, what makes you appreciate life, and connect with those feeling good. Because when we're able to uplift our energy, then we get to attraction mode. That's why gratitude is so important, because if you have a dream and you fill up the dream with gratitude, you're going to have that dream happening to you a lot faster than you think. But definitely a lot faster.
Yes. Yeah. Just to highlight, just so people hear exactly what you just said, is one, if you don't know what you want, how can the universe provide it for you? So you need to know what you want, not what you don't want. Well, that's fine if you know what you don't want, but you'll need to know what you do want. From there, creating clarity around what you want, not needing to be too specific, but know what you want and have clarity in that. Visualize it, let it go, move on, and find a way to feel empowered, inspired, grateful, seeking the joy in your day. And in that, the momentum will attract that experience that you have visualized and got clear on. And it honestly, I love using the word magic because that's what it seems like, but it's beyond that. This is truth and it is real and it happens over and over again. I know in my life, in your life, Eduardo, and we have friends that we know that have done very similar things of this. So it's a beautiful, simple process. We just have to get out of our own way at times.
Yeah, it's true. And, just remember, well, I got to remind myself, we are meant to have an extraordinary life. So just be extraordinary.
Yes, I love that. And we'll finish off with that. Just be extraordinary. Ordinary people every day become extraordinary. And, the thing is extraordinary people are ordinary people as well. Yeah. And that's the big thing of why, we have everyday heroes on this show as yourself to speak to everyday people, because it's interchangeable. We are both, just friends hanging out, and always, we connect every few weeks and months, and it's just the best. And, it raises our energy and it makes us extraordinary when we just spend time together. So I appreciate you, Eduardo.
Thank you.
How can they get in touch with you with your coaching, with Facebook, if they want to join the 30-day gratitude? I know that you already did it, but you're starting new cycles of your
Yes. So gratitude never ends, right?
Yes.
Gratitude never ends. I challenge you to start doing it daily, but that's the whole key. Because if you want to change, it's the same thing. If you want to change your body, you want to start moving. If you want to start experimenting miracles in life, start practicing gratitude daily, and I'm super happy to keep you accountable on that and start seeing the results together. Then, by all means, please come visit me. So my website is Balancing Life with Joy, and you can connect with me at balancinglifewithjoy.com, or you can email me at eduardocrespoj@gmail.com, and then we can go from there. I can send you an invitation. The group, the Facebook group is 30 Days of Gratitude. But I heard there's a few groups with that, because we're all practicing gratitude in the world. And why wouldn't practice gratitude right now with, such a beautiful tool to revamp our energy? So, yeah, if you want to manifest something in your life, if you want to create and be extraordinary, just choose to be extraordinary. And then let's talk about it.
I love that, Eduardo. And I'll have all the links below. And, that just reminds me of a quote from Dr. Wayne Dyer, is that there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way.
Yes.
So, if you want to be extraordinary, there is no path of being extraordinary. You just be extraordinary.
You are. Yeah.
That's it. And, I appreciate you so much. Again, you guys, please follow us at A Heroes Academy on Instagram and on YouTube. It's going to be Moments of Aha with A Heroes Academy. So, Eduardo, thank you again for your time.
Thank you, John.
Talk to you soon. Everyone else, blessings. Take care.